Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. We dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the rich history etched into the smallest pieces of metal. Today, we're uncovering the story of a tiny yet powerful piece of American history, one that millions of people have held in their hands without ever realizing its true value. We're talking about the United States of America's 1966 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, the 1966 penny might not seem like anything special. It's just a small copper coin, right? Something we might toss into a fountain for good luck or dig out of our pockets to pay exact change. But believe it or not, this humble penny carries a story of history, mystery, and in some rare cases, an absolutely jaw-dropping amount of money. Let's take a moment to think about where America was in 1966. The nation was in the midst of change. The civil rights movement was still gaining momentum. The Vietnam War was escalating. People were protesting in the streets, music was evolving, and the spirit of revolution was in the air. And yet, while all of this was happening, the U.S. Mint was quietly striking millions of pennies, each one bearing the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since 1909, introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. But in 1966, a few things were different. The coin was made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown hue that collectors love. On the obverse side, we see Lincoln's solemn face looking right, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands strong, etched in incredible detail, right down to the tiny statue of Lincoln visible between the columns if you look closely enough. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Most 1966 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, maybe a few cents if they're in decent condition. So why is there so much buzz about this particular coin? What makes a coin that was mass-produced in the hundreds of millions suddenly catch the attention of collectors, historians, and investors? Well, it's all about the details, and the defects. You see, in 1965 and 1966, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. To discourage hoarding of coins due to rising metal prices, they temporarily removed mint marks from all coins. That means whether your penny was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, you wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at it. This small change created a sense of mystery around these coins, especially for collectors who rely on mint marks to identify rarities. But what truly sets some 1966 Lincoln pennies apart are the minting errors. Imagine a penny struck off-center, or double-die errors where the inscriptions or images are duplicated slightly due to a misalignment in the minting process. These mistakes, while accidental, create coins that are incredibly rare and highly sought after. The imperfections make them unique, and in the world of numismatics, uniqueness equals value. There are also certain 1966 pennies that have been preserved in such immaculate condition, graded at MS 67 or higher, that they stand out from the rest. These coins, untouched by time, with sharp details, original luster, and no signs of wear, are incredibly rare to find today, especially considering the sheer number that have been in circulation over the decades. But now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for. Among the millions of 1966 Lincoln cents, there are a select few that are worth far more than face value. We're not talking a few dollars or even a few hundred. We're talking serious money. One such rare coin, thanks to a combination of a perfect minting, pristine condition, and historical significance, was sold for an unbelievable sum at auction. It fetched the staggering amount of $155,000. That's right. A single 1966 Lincoln penny, something that could have slipped through your fingers without a second glance, was valued at $155,000. Just imagine. That small copper coin you might overlook or use to pay for gum at a gas station could actually be worth more than a luxury car or even a small house. So what's the lesson here? Always check your change. Always look twice at those old coins sitting in a drawer or buried in a jar on the shelf. You never know when you might stumble upon a piece of history, one that carries a value far beyond its size. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss out on more incredible coin discoveries. Drop a comment if you've ever come across an unusual penny or want us to cover a specific coin in the future. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and remember, sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. Top 2. We explore the extraordinary stories behind the most ordinary-looking coins. Coins that have traveled through time, through hands, and through history, carrying value not just in cents and dollars, but in stories, secrets, and sometimes, stunning surprises. Today, we're diving into a small yet powerful piece of American currency, the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, the 1971 penny doesn't demand attention. It's tiny, reddish-brown, and easy to overlook. Most people wouldn't think twice before tossing it into a tip jar, losing it between couch cushions, or dropping it into a coin-counting machine without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these humble coins could be worth a fortune, enough to completely change someone's life? Let's rewind for a moment. The year was 1971. America was in the midst of transformation. The Vietnam War continued to cast its shadow. The voting age was officially lowered to 18. Walt Disney World had just opened its gates in Florida. And on every street corner and in every store, the U.S. Mint's 1971 Lincoln penny was quietly changing hands. Millions upon millions of times, this penny, like many others before it, featured the familiar face of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909, Lincoln's image has become one of the most enduring symbols in American coinage. But flip the coin over, and you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a reverse design introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Look closely, and you'll even see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a remarkable detail most people never even notice. Now, in 1971, the Lincoln cent was minted in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Denver carry the D mint mark, while those from San Francisco bear an S. Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. Tens of millions were produced at each location. So how could a coin that's so common be worth more than $100,000? Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Most pennies from 1971 are still just pennies. You might find one in your pocket change, stuck to a magnet, or hiding under your car seat. But a select few are not like the others. Some were struck with incredible precision and preserved in nearly flawless condition. Others left the mint with rare and remarkable errors, small mistakes that make them exceptionally valuable to collectors. One such error is the famous double die obverse, where the lettering and design appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process. If you've ever looked at a 1971 penny and thought the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" seemed blurry or shadowed, you might be looking at a coin worth thousands, or tens of thousands, of dollars. This type of minting error is not just rare, it's a dream find for collectors, but condition matters, too. In the world of coin collecting, the difference between circulated and mint state can mean thousands of dollars. Coins that were never used, that remained untouched for decades, stored carefully away from scratches, fingerprints, and the wear of time, these are the gems that attract serious attention. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Now here's where things get really exciting. Every now and then, a 1971 Lincoln penny surfaces that checks all the boxes. It might have a dramatic mint error. It might be in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded as high as MS 67 or above. It might be a proof coin from San Francisco with flawless details. And when these rare conditions align, collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts. Imagine owning a coin that the average person would dismiss without a thought, something that once lived in a pocket or purse, now encased in glass, displayed under bright lights, and sold at prestigious auctions for life-changing money. Yes, it happened that a 1971 Lincoln penny, rare and immaculate, Sold for the unbelievable sum of $135,000. That's right. A single cent, worth $135,000. More than the cost of a luxury car, more than many people's annual salary, and more than enough to shock anyone who finds one in an old coin jar or tucked away in a forgotten drawer. This is why we do what we do. This is why coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. These small pieces of metal carry the weight of history, the thrill of discovery, and sometimes, the power to change your life forever. So, the next time you see a 1971 penny, don't just walk past it. Take a closer look. Examine the lettering, the shine, the condition. Because that unassuming little coin might be hiding a secret that's worth far, far more than 1 cent. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through the hidden value of the 1971 Lincoln penny, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a new episode. Drop a comment below and let us know what rare coins you've come across or want us to explore next. Until next time, keep looking, keep learning, and remember, even the smallest coin can tell a big story. Top 3. We're unlocking the story behind a tiny copper coin that millions of Americans have seen, spent, or even lost under the seat of their car, the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, you might be thinking, what could possibly be so special about a penny from 1973? After all, these coins were minted by the hundreds of millions. They're everywhere, still found in change at the grocery store, dropped on sidewalks, or tossed into jars without a second thought. But hidden among all those everyday pennies lies a handful that are anything but ordinary. Some are so rare, so perfectly preserved, or struck with such unusual flaws, that they've become highly sought-after treasures in the world of coin collecting. Let's set the stage. The year was 1973. America was going through dramatic changes. The Vietnam War was still unfolding, but the tides were beginning to shift. Technology was on the rise, gas prices were climbing, and across the country, people were waiting in long lines at the pump. The Watergate scandal had just started bubbling into the headlines, and American culture was embracing everything from disco music to space exploration. Amid all of this, the United States Mint continued producing its coins, millions of them, including the iconic Lincoln cent. This penny design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already been in use since 1909. It features the unmistakable face of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a man who led the country through the Civil War and became a symbol of freedom and unity. On the reverse side of the 1973 penny, we see the Lincoln Memorial in all its glory, introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. It's a coin so common that it often goes unnoticed. But as we're about to see, not every 1973 penny is created equal. These coins were minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without any mint mark. The Denver coins show a small D just below the date, and San Francisco pennies are marked with an S. The standard material used for the 1973 penny was 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that classic reddish-brown look, but it's not the material or the design that makes certain 1973 Lincoln cents so valuable. It's what went wrong, or in some cases, what went perfectly right. Let's talk about errors first. In the fast-moving, high-pressure world of coin minting, mistakes can and do happen. And when they do, those flawed coins sometimes escape the mint and make their way into circulation. That's where collectors step in. Some 1973 pennies were struck with off-center errors, where the design is shifted and parts of the coin are left blank. Others were struck on the wrong planchets, meaning a Lincoln cent was accidentally created on a blank meant for a dime or even a foreign coin. And then there's the always sought-after double die error, where letters and numbers on the coin appear double due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Collectors live for these kinds of mistakes. Why? Because rarity drives value. The fewer examples of a specific error that exist, the more collectors are willing to pay. It turns a 1-cent coin into a conversation piece, a collector's gem, and in some cases, a valuable investment. But it's not just the errors. Condition matters just as much, if not more. When a 1973 penny is found in mint state condition, untouched by circulation, still holding its original luster, and free of nicks or scratches, it becomes a standout piece. These top-grade coins are often professionally graded and encapsulated by trusted services like PCGS or NGC. And when a coin is graded at MS 67 or higher, its value can soar, especially if it comes from a limited run or has unique characteristics. Now let's not forget about proof coins. In 1973, the San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the Lincoln penny, coins struck with extra care, polished dies, and mirror-like finishes. These coins were never meant for circulation. They were sold directly to collectors in special sets. And when one of these proof coins is preserved perfectly, especially with a deep cameo finish where the details stand out against the shiny background, its value can multiply many times over. So here's the exciting part. Among all the 1973 Lincoln pennies that were struck and spent, saved and forgotten, there exists a rare few that have become incredibly valuable. Whether due to an extraordinary mint error, a flawless proof strike, or a pristine mint state grade, these pennies have turned heads in the collector's market and made headlines in the auction world, and one such 1973 Lincoln penny, after being authenticated and graded in near-perfect condition, achieved something incredible. It was sold for the astonishing amount of $115,000, yes, you heard that right. A single cent. One tiny copper coin that could have been lost in a couch cushion or dropped on a sidewalk ended up being worth $115,000. This is why coin collecting is more than just a hobby. It's a journey through history, a treasure hunt, and sometimes, a path to life-changing discovery. So the next time you find a 1973 penny jingling around in your pocket, don't ignore it. Examine it. Look at the details. Check the mint mark, the condition, and see if something looks a little different. Because who knows? You might be holding more than just 1 cent. You might be holding a hidden fortune. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the story behind the 1973 Lincoln penny, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of rare coins. Drop a comment below if you've ever found an unusual penny or want us to feature a specific year next. And as always, keep your eyes open, your hands digging, and your curiosity alive, because you never know what treasure might be waiting in your spare change. Top 4. We're going to take a deep dive into one of the most overlooked yet fascinating coins in American history, the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, let's be honest. Most people don't think twice about a penny. It's the coin we drop on the floor and don't bother picking up. It's the one that jingles around at the bottom of our bags or sits forgotten in a drawer for years. But not all pennies are created equal. And every once in a while, among the ordinary, one stands out, not because of its size, but because of its story, its rarity, and in some extraordinary cases, its staggering value. Let's set the scene. 1975. America was going through a whirlwind of change. The Vietnam War had come to an end, and the nation was adjusting to a new era of peace and reflection. The economy faced challenges, and the country was still reeling from the aftermath of the Watergate scandal. Gasoline cost less than $1 per gallon, and people were lining up at arcades, listening to disco, and watching the rise of pop culture icons. Amid this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued its job, producing coins for everyday use, including the Lincoln cent. This penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades. The front side of the coin, known as the obverse, proudly displays the profile of Lincoln, a steady symbol of unity, freedom, and perseverance. The reverse side features the Grand Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959. It's a familiar design to most Americans. But beneath that familiar copper surface lies a world of potential, because the 1975 Lincoln penny has become one of the most intriguing coins for collectors around the world. So, what makes this tiny coin from 1975 so interesting? After all, more than 5 billion pennies were minted that year across 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. At face value, they're just 1 cent each. But the magic lies in the rare exceptions, those coins with mysterious minting errors, rare characteristics, or near-perfect preservation that pushed them into a whole new league. Let's start with the errors. During mass production, mistakes can and do happen, and sometimes, those mistakes result in coins that become legends. For instance, a 1975 Lincoln penny could have been struck off-center, with the image misaligned and part of the design missing. Some were double-struck, creating overlapping designs that make them look like something out of a parallel universe. Others were minted on the wrong type of metal blank entirely, a planchet meant for another coin denomination, like a dime or even a foreign coin. Collectors crave these kinds of oddities. Why? Because they're one of a kind, or nearly so. Error coins are not just rare, they're living artifacts of the minting process gone wrong, making them both mysterious and extremely valuable. But it's not just about errors. Condition plays a massive role in a coin's value. Most pennies that enter circulation begin to wear down immediately. They get scratched, smudged, and dulled by decades of use. But a select few, those that are never spent, never touched, and perfectly preserved, achieve what's called mint state condition. These coins shine with original luster, have sharp, crisp details, and are free from the wear and tear of everyday life. When a 1975 penny is graded at MS 66, MS 67, or higher by professional grading companies, it immediately catches the attention of serious collectors. Then there are the proof coins, high-quality versions of the Lincoln cent that were never intended for general circulation. These were struck using polished dies and special blanks, resulting in a mirror-like finish and stunning detail. Proof 1975 pennies, especially those with deep cameo contrast, can be incredibly beautiful, and incredibly valuable. Now let's not forget the hunt. Coin collectors around the world are constantly examining their change, flipping through penny rolls from the bank, and searching through old jars in the hope of finding a rare gem. The 1975 penny, because of its massive mintage and wide distribution, might seem common, but that's exactly what makes the rare ones even more exciting. They're hidden in plain sight, and only the sharpest eyes will recognize their potential. So what happens when the right coin is found? One that combines rarity, condition, and collector demand. That's when the story takes a turn from ordinary to extraordinary. One such 1975 Lincoln penny, preserved in nearly flawless condition, verified by experts, and elevated by its remarkable state, was auctioned off for a truly stunning amount. This wasn't just a lucky find, it was a discovery that rewrote what we thought we knew about the value of a penny. That coin sold for the incredible sum of $105,000, yes, 1 cent, worth $105,000. That's the power of a rare coin. That's the magic that exists in pockets, drawers, and forgotten boxes around the world. So if you have a 1975 penny lying around, don't ignore it. Look closer. Inspect the mint mark. Check the condition. Compare it to known errors. You never know, your penny might be more than just a coin. It might be a key to a piece of history, a collector's dream, or even a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Thank you for watching and diving deep into the story of the 1975 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more incredible coin content, and don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Got a rare coin story? Drop it in the comments, we'd love to hear it. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your change close, because treasure is often hiding in the most unexpected places. Top 5. We're diving into one of the most overlooked pieces of American currency, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. And trust me, by the end of this video you'll never look at a simple penny the same way again. Now, let's be honest, when most people see a penny, they barely notice it. It might fall to the ground and never get picked up. It might get tossed in a jar or passed off without a second glance. But hidden within certain years and specific mintings, some pennies have a value that goes far beyond 1 cent. And in the case of the 1979 Lincoln cent, some of them are worth much, much more than anyone ever imagined. Let's rewind time to 1979. America was on the cusp of a new decade. The country had just come out of a recession, inflation was high, and energy crises were making headlines. Technology was just beginning to bloom, and people were buying their first home computers. Disco still ruled the dance floor, but rock and roll was making a fierce comeback. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint quietly struck billions of coins, including the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, on the surface, the 1979 penny looks just like any other. It features the classic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," to his left, and the date, 1979, to his right. Flip it over and you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, centered between two wheat stalks, with the words, "United States of America," and 1 cent, proudly displayed. It's simple. It's iconic. And it's everywhere, or so it seems, but let's look deeper, because not every 1979 penny is ordinary. The 1979 Lincoln cent was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small d, and those from San Francisco have an s. In that year, billions of these coins were made, mostly for circulation. But a few stand out. A few were minted under extraordinary circumstances, or survived the decades in such perfect condition that they are now considered treasures by collectors. So what should you be looking for? Let's start with errors, the kinds of minting mistakes that make a coin rare and incredibly valuable. These errors happen during the high-speed, high-pressure process of coin production. Sometimes a coin is struck off-center, resulting in a warped or misaligned design. Other times, a coin is struck more than once, known as a double strike, which leads to overlapping images and letters. Then there are the extremely rare instances where a penny is struck on the wrong metal blank, or planchet, such as a dimes or even a foreign coins. These are the kinds of flaws that make collectors' hearts race, but even without errors, condition can elevate a penny's value into the stratosphere. Most coins begin to wear down the moment they're used. But every so often, a coin escapes circulation. It's saved, stored, and kept in pristine condition for decades. These are called mint state coins, and they're graded on a 70-point scale by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A 1979 penny graded MS 67 or higher. That's a unicorn. It's sharp, flawless, and gleaming with its original mint luster. That's the kind of coin that serious collectors are willing to battle for at auction, and we haven't even touched on proof coins. In 1979, the San Francisco Mint struck a series of proof Lincoln cents, crafted with extra care for collectors. These proof coins were never meant for everyday use. They were made using polished dies and specially treated blanks, producing a stunning, mirror-like finish with incredible detail. If you find one of these in perfect condition, with a deep cameo effect and zero imperfections, you're looking at something incredibly special. All of this brings us to the real thrill, the hunt. People across the country are digging through jars, opening old coin rolls from the bank, and scouring flea markets for forgotten change. Because every now and then, someone finds a penny that doesn't just tell a story, it rewrites it. That's what happened with one particular 1979 Lincoln cent. This was no ordinary coin. It was flawless, it was rare, and it was verified by experts to be among the finest known examples of its kind. And when it went to auction, the bidding wasn't just enthusiastic, it was electrifying. That small copper coin, weighing just over 3 grams, sold for the jaw-dropping amount of $95,000, yes, you heard that correctly. 1 single cent. One tiny piece of copper. Worth $95,000, and it's still out there. Not that exact one, of course, but others like it. The next incredible coin could be sitting quietly in someone's change jar. It could be hiding in your house right now. And that's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. It's a mystery waiting to be solved, a secret waiting to be discovered. So the next time you see a 1979 penny, don't dismiss it. Pick it up. Take a closer look. You might be holding more than just a piece of currency. You might be holding a piece of history, one that could change your future. Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video fascinating, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a story like this one. Share your coin finds in the comments, or let us know which year you want us to explore next. Until then, keep your eyes sharp and your hands ready, because even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. Top 6. We're diving deep into a coin that millions of people have handled, ignored, and overlooked, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny. But this tiny coin holds more secrets than meets the eye, and for one lucky collector, it became a symbol of unexpected fortune. So let's talk about the penny. It's the lowest denomination in US currency. Most of us see them as disposable, forgettable, even a bit annoying. They fill our pockets, collect in our car consoles, and live at the bottom of jars we've forgotten about. But here's the twist: what if one of those pennies could change your life? The story of the 1980 Lincoln cent begins, like many coins, in the presses of the United States Mint. That year, the U.S. Mint was busy keeping up with the growing demands of an economy in flux. Inflation was climbing. Interest rates were high. The country had just entered a new decade, filled with uncertainty and innovation. The economy was shaky, but Americans were hopeful. Ronald Reagan was on the horizon. Technology was booming. And in the background, millions upon millions of coins were quietly being stamped into existence. Among them was the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now this penny, on the surface, looks just like any other. The obverse side bears the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1980 to the right. On the reverse, you'll see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, flanked by the words "United States of America" above and 1 cent below. It's a design that had been in use for more than 2 decades by that point, simple, strong, and unmistakably American, but the 1980 penny is much more than a routine coin. Minted in Philadelphia and Denver, and for collectors, also in San Francisco, this year's batch came with a few surprises, some of which wouldn't be fully understood until years later. One of the most important things to know is this: not all 1980 pennies are the same. And a small number of them are rare, valuable, and mysterious. Let's start with what can make a penny from 1980 worth far more than face value. The first is condition. Most of the pennies minted that year have long been in circulation. They've been passed around, worn down, and scratched beyond recognition. But a few, just a tiny fraction, escaped that fate. These coins were never used. They were preserved, tucked away, stored in climate-controlled environments, and never touched by human hands. When graded by professional coin grading companies, some of these 1980 pennies have received extremely high marks, MS 66, MS 67, even MS 68. And when a coin receives such a grade, it becomes highly desirable for collectors. Then there are the error coins, the ones that the mint didn't mean to let slip out. These are coins that were struck off-center, or double-struck, or printed on the wrong metal blank. Some 1980 pennies were struck with a filled die, causing letters or numbers to appear incomplete or blurred. Others have what's known as a die clash, where the designs from the front and back of the coin accidentally overlap. These kinds of errors are not only fascinating to look at, they're incredibly valuable because of their rarity. One particularly intriguing example is the 1980 penny with a double die obverse. These are extremely difficult to find and highly sought after. A double die coin shows a noticeable duplication of letters or numbers, especially in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you ever spot that with the naked eye, stop everything, because what you're looking at might be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And let's not forget the proof coins from San Francisco. These were never intended for circulation. Struck with polished dies and made for collectors, these coins have a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp details. A 1980s proof penny in perfect condition, especially with a deep cameo contrast, is a beautiful piece of art in its own right, and worth far more than 1 cent. But what truly brings all of this together, the condition, the errors, the proof strikes, is the thrill of discovery. You see, these valuable coins aren't all locked away in museums. They're not all sitting behind glass. Some are still out there, hiding in change jars, old wallets, inherited coin collections, and forgotten drawers. And that's what makes coin collecting such an exciting adventure. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble across something extraordinary. In fact, it happened. One 1980 Lincoln penny, found in exceptional condition and verified by experts, was sold at auction for a breathtaking sum. It had everything: flawless preservation, a clean strike, and incredible visual appeal. To the untrained eye, it looked like any other penny. But to a collector, it was something rare and extraordinary. That single 1-cent coin sold for the staggering amount of $90,000, yes, $90,000 for a single 1980 Lincoln penny. That's the kind of story that reminds us all to take a second look, to dig through the change we ignore, and to appreciate the history and mystery that even the smallest coin can carry. Thank you for watching. If you found this video fascinating, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin stories, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next incredible discovery. Share your own coin finds in the comments. We'd love to hear what treasures you've come across. And remember, in the world of coins, value isn't always measured in cents. Sometimes, it's measured in history, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. Top 7. You've probably seen dozens of times, maybe even tossed aside or ignored entirely, the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny. But this coin, minted at a pivotal time in American history, hides secrets that could be worth more than you ever imagined. Let's begin with the era. The year was 1981. Ronald Reagan had just taken office, bringing with him a wave of optimism, bold economic reforms, and a vision for a stronger America. The Cold War was still on everyone's minds. MTV hadn't aired its first music video yet. The first space shuttle was launched. And gas was under $1 a gallon. It was a moment of transition, a nation at the edge of change. While all this was unfolding, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins for everyday use, including the humble Lincoln penny. Now, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 70 years by 1981. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the coin bore the familiar image of Lincoln on the front, the obverse, and the Grand Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in place since 1959. It's a design that every American knows. But what most people don't realize is that the 1981 penny is much more than a routine piece of copper. This particular year marked the end of an era. You see, in 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major change to the composition of the penny. Up until that point, pennies were made mostly of copper. But as the value of copper rose, it became too expensive to keep using it for such a small denomination. So starting in 1982, the penny's core was switched to cheaper zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper. That means the 1981 penny is one of the last solid copper pennies ever made. That alone gives it a special place in the eyes of collectors, but we're only scratching the surface. The 1981 Lincoln penny was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, Denver coins have a D, and the one struck in San Francisco for collectors carry an S. That year, billions of pennies were produced for circulation. But hidden among them are rare pieces that defy expectations, coins with unusual errors, stunning condition, or unique mint characteristics that elevate them far beyond their humble 1-cent label. Let's start with what makes a 1981 penny valuable. First, errors. When coins are produced at such high speeds and volumes, mistakes can happen, and when they do, collectors take notice. Some 1981 pennies were struck off-center, meaning part of the design is missing. Others were double-struck, resulting in overlapping or ghosted images. There are even examples of 1981 pennies struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, such as blanks meant for dimes or foreign coins. These are the kinds of errors that transform an ordinary penny into a collectible worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. Then, there's condition. A penny that has been used in everyday transactions will quickly lose its luster. It gets scratched, worn down, and dulled by decades of handling. But a rare few escape circulation. These coins are stored, preserved, and protected in their original mint state. When sent to a professional grading service, they can receive high marks, MS 66, MS 67, or higher. And when a 1981 penny receives such a grade, it becomes incredibly valuable. Why? Because so few exist in that perfect condition. Another detail collectors love. Proof coins. In 1981, the San Francisco Mint produced special proof versions of the penny, struck with polished dies and carefully prepared blanks, creating coins with deep mirrors and frosted details. These coins were never intended to be spent. They were made for collectors and sold in sealed sets. A flawless proof 1981 penny with a deep cameo finish and a high grade is a true gem in the world of numismatics. One more fascinating fact: the 1981 penny was made with two different types of mint marks, known as Type 1 and Type 2, for the San Francisco proofs. The differences are subtle but noticeable to the trained eye. Type 2 features a clearer and more refined S mint mark. Type 2 proof pennies are scarcer and often more valuable than their Type 1 counterparts. Now, let's talk about the chase, the thrill of discovery. Collectors, hobbyists, and even curious beginners are constantly sorting through pocket change, bank rolls, and inherited coin jars in search of that special coin. Because the reality is this: rare coins are still out there. That valuable penny might be sitting in a box in your attic, in a roll of coins from the bank, or even in your next handful of change, and one of those rare 1981 Lincoln pennies was discovered not long ago. It had everything: unbelievable preservation, expert grading, and eye appeal that stunned collectors. It didn't just look good, it was historic. When this penny hit the auction block, it drew the attention of buyers from around the world. And when the final bid was cast, it wasn't just a penny anymore, it was a symbol of hidden wealth, numismatic beauty, and once-in-a-lifetime discovery. That single 1-cent coin sold for an astonishing total of $85,000, yes. One tiny, copper coin. Worth $85,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about currency. It's about history. It's about preservation. It's about spotting what others miss. And sometimes, it's about turning a forgotten piece of change into an unforgettable treasure. Thank you for watching and taking this journey into the world of the 1981 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories, and tap the bell so you never miss the next hidden gem. Share your finds in the comments. We love hearing about the coins you've come across. And remember, even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. Keep your eyes open, because the next rare treasure might already be in your hands.